In 1967, in Los Angeles, Gregory attended the first of 58 straight Super Bowls that he would see live and in person. That very select group, otherwise known as the Never Miss a Super Bowl Club, is now down to only 4 people. Gregory has promised us that he'll keep that streak alive at least and until his beloved Detroit Lions play in that game. And for the record, he had to be. Gregory was in attendance the last time the Lions did win a world championship. In 1957 in Briggs Stadium in Detroit. Only 17 at the time, Gregory kept warm by drinking hot chocolate, while his dad and uncles who took him to the game kept warm by drinking from flasks. 1968 was a year of head-spinning news. And while some of it was pretty good, a lot of it was downright awful. Both Martin Luther King Jr. and Bobby Kennedy were assassinated 2 months apart, leaving our country beyond heartbroken and devastated. It did get a little bit better in July of '68, as on July 16th, both Barry Sanders and Jim Curran Jr. were born on the exact same day. A few months later, the Detroit Tigers helped ease the pain of the previous year and a half by winning the World Series for the first time since Gregory was in kindergarten. The Summer Olympics were held in Mexico City that year, and the games put a spotlight on what Americans were rooting for, their sports heroes, and for advancements in civil rights. And almost like his country ordained that he be there too to help sort through it all, Gregory was there. It would be the first of 4 Summer Olympics that Gregory would attend over the next 28 years, and by far the most culturally significant as to how Americans would learn to get along with each other. Gregory was in the stadium that hosted the track and field events, and he was there to see Tommy Smith and John Carlos capture the gold and bronze medals in the 200-meter dash. And it was after the race, when the men were on the medal stand, that became a touchstone moment in the convergence of sports and politics and human rights. The 2 Americans bowed their heads, and for those of us old enough to remember, raised their hand, a glove-fisted hand, during the playing of the national anthem. That touched off a series of events that America had never quite seen before. The IOC chairman banned the Americans from the rest of the games. And as the controversy swirled, the athletes and their wives received death threats. So it was Gregory, of course, who jumped in the breach. And he drove the athletes' wives out of harm's way so they could fly safely home to the USA. Many believe that was a seed for a thought that would one day become the world-renowned transportation company Metrocars. And if that wasn't enough for him, just a few days later, Gregory hurried back from the airport and over to the boxing venue, where he made it just in time to see George Foreman win the gold medal for the USA in the heavyweight division. Gregory was there in the front row, cheering as loudly as anybody in the arena, when a smiling George Foreman bounced around the ring and was proudly waving an American flag about this size. And those profound yet simple gestures, George Foreman and Gregory Eaton right there, reminded millions of Americans back home what we needed to be reminded of, that we are one nation under God indivisible, with liberty and justice for all people. In the mid-'70s, Gregory was a leading private sector advocate for the passage of the landmark Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. Gregory worked with Governor Milliken and legislators from both sides of the aisle. That law stands as a benchmark to say discrimination of any kind will not be tolerated in Michigan. Also in the '70s, Gregory would befriend a local Lansing phenom by the name of Irvin Johnson before he was known as Magic. Irvin could have went anywhere and been successful. And Gregory told Magic precisely that he might as well enjoy his success close to home at Michigan State. The rest, they say, is history. Gregory Eaton, one of Magic's dearest friends and mentors, would go on to have a front row seat at Magic's wedding and travel the world with Irvin in their victory lap of life. Over the course of his life, Gregory has made so many memorable and indelible impacts. They're countless. And if the make-believe story of Forrest Gump won 6 Academy Awards, then the real-life story of Gregory Eaton should win at least 12. Let me introduce some of the speakers here today. If anyone was ever born to be a public servant and a leader, it's our first speaker, the speaker. His mom was a public school teacher and his dad a firefighter in the city of Detroit, before his dad was tragically killed in the line of duty when Joe was just a baby. He would go to MSU on a football scholarship and was an all Big Ten lineman where he captained the team before going on to play in the National Football League. After leaving the NFL, he joined the United States Marine Corps as an officer and did 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan as a platoon commander and executive officer of his infantry. He has a master's degree from both MSU and U of M. And some people say he's too nice of a guy to be in politics. And others go a step further and say he's way too nice of a guy to be a legislative leader in Lansing. To that I say, BS. We need a heck of a lot more people just like him, with his kind of character and integrity as our elected officials. He's going first today and then heading for the door on his way to work, as he has to gavel the Michigan House of Representatives into session at 1:30. But he wouldn't have missed today for the world. The Speaker of the House, State Representative Joe Tate.
Well, good afternoon. Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, first off, thank you for the invitation, Chair Bill, Vice Chair Palomera, members of the commission, elected officials, Governor, Executive, County Executive Evans, and other electeds. I will be brief with my remarks. I am not lost. I know I have to get to another legislative body, and it's about an hour and 20 minutes away here. But I am glad to be here just to honor Mr. Gregory Eaton and just everything that he has done, not only for this state, but for this country and for this world. Actually, the first time I met you, Mr. Eaton, you probably don't remember, as an 18-year-old, I left Detroit and headed up to East Lansing and to play football. And when we were coming into practice, it never failed. I always see this older, wiser gentleman that will always be around in practice. I'm like, who is this guy? He's not a coach. He's not a professor, but who is this person? And, for the past 25 years, I've gotten to know who Mr. Eaton has been, not only as a leader in business, but also in civil rights, and also a person that gets things done at the end of the day. And I will say to you, Mr. Eaton, from the bottom of my heart, I would not be in this position, being the first Black speaker of the Michigan State House, if it weren't for you blazing trails for all of your life. And it's a testament to your character that everyone is here, and it's a testament to how you care about people. You have made legacies in this state because of who you are. And we will continue to honor you. Hopefully, I know with the Lions here, we're going to bring you a Super Bowl. Not me, but they will. But want to thank you for who you are and what kind of person you are, and know that we wouldn't be here, the state wouldn't be the way that it is if it weren't for all of your work and who you are as a person. So there's much gratitude and love for you, Mr. Eaton, and we thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Drive safe. Our next speaker joined the Wayne County Sheriff's Department in the early 1970s and rose through the ranks over the next several decades. He became sheriff, and after being elected twice to that post, he was named chief of police for the city of Detroit under Mayor and Hall of Famer Dave Bing. While working in law enforcement, he received his law degree from Michigan State, and in 2014 was elected to the first of his 3 terms as Wayne County Executive. During his tenure as a top elected official in this county, he has overseen a string of balanced budgets and fiscally prudent surpluses. He's also been a great friend of Gregory's for decades, and that friendship and respect has translated into a mutual admiration society and support for each other's endeavors over the years. Very proud to honor his friend, is Wayne County Executive Warren Evans.
Good afternoon, everybody. And after listening to Joey recite his entire life and the passion from the speaker, doesn't leave a lot left to say, but I will certainly say that for 50 years, Greg's been a hero to me. From the time I started as an officer in the sheriff's office. You know, I didn't start out being sheriff. I started out slamming gates in the jail. And watching Greg operate, watching how comfortable he is around regular people, what we would call regular people who we'd run into on the street, the way he is around politicians, the way he is around entertainers, the way he is around musicians, whatever it is. There's one thing about Greg is nobody would ever dislike him. He has an air about him, a style that has always been, let me get to an amicable solution about whatever the issue is. No harsh words. Now, he's determined as he can be. I mean, at the end of the day, Greg will get from point A to point B. There's no question about that. But he doesn't pick up 20 enemies on the way. He finds ways to respect everyone, expects that respect back from everyone. Not everybody gives it to him, but you know what? The few that don't realize later they should. It's just the kind of person that Greg's always been, from his businesses. And I keep listening to all of the places that Greg's been, from the march here in Detroit in '63 on, and the sports events and all of that. I got to talk to him later about how to be a successful businessman when you're never at work. But I'm sure he can explain that one to me in a way that works. But from Metro Cars to Greg's Soul Food in Lansing, he's been an institution even here. I mean, his family has been an institution in Lansing since the 1800s. So you do the math. But he's always been an institution here. He's one of those people that may not call you all the time, but if you need him, you know he's going to pick up the phone, and you know he's going to respond as positively as he can, and he gives great advice. And the reason the advice is accepted is because he doesn't push it on you. He lets you absorb it. He talks about it. I can tell you many times, Greg would say something, I took it as a grain of salt, then call him later, Greg, what were you really saying? What? And finally, I'd figure out, he's saying he wants to see you here, you want to be there, but I'm taking the wrong route. And Greg's helping me with the route to get there. Very important. You are a dear friend, and I want nothing but the best for you going forward. It's certainly your Super Bowl, but you've been to so many of them, I don't know. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being a solid, long-term friend. Thank you for, when you're in Greg's presence, you notice you're the only guy in the world at that time. It's a very difficult art to be able to do that, but it makes you feel like he is listening, he is being helpful, he's being Greg Eaton. And by the way, he's the sharpest guy I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to talk about his drift. And he didn't let me down today. Greg, thank you so much for being you. Thank you so much for what you've done, not just for Lansing and Detroit and the state of Michigan, but for the empowerment of people that look like us all over the world. I thank you, I thank you, and I thank you.
And I thank you, Mr. Executive. Very well put. It's hard to believe that our next speaker has served on the Wayne County Commission for over 20 years. That's not possible. She's not that old. But when she was first elected in 2002, she was the youngest African-American woman in our nation's history to serve on a county commission. She's a graduate of Cass Tech High School and has bachelor's and master's degrees from Florida A&M and UNLV. And I encourage all of you, in the saving of time, to Google her and read her bio, because quite frankly, to list all her accomplishments, volunteer boards, and charitable causes is so impressive and so long, we might be tempted to give her the Gregory Eaton Lifetime Achievement Award. And that's going to have to wait for another day. The proud mother of two, serving in her third term as chair of this body, Wayne County Commission Chair, Alicia Bell.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank all of you to be here today as we celebrate the iconic Greg Eaton. It's got to be something when you can have MSU coaches, county executives, governors here to idolize and to give you the respect that you so honestly deserve. I am so happy to welcome all of you to the Wayne County Commission chambers. And let's give a round of applause for Commissioner Palomero, who made this possible today. Thank you, Joey, for all that you have done. And it's funny because Joey and I are 1 and 2 in seniority. Joey was 20 when he started. I was 10 when I started. So we have a long history here. So, it's so very important to get your flowers while you're here to receive them. As a iconic businessman, civil rights icon, just that all around good dude. We are just so happy that you are here, Gregory, and that we can honor you and give you your flowers so that you're here to smell them. Because so many times we don't do that till the person is not here. So we want to make sure that we're honoring you today for all that you have done, not only in Lansing and in Michigan, but across the country. And the friendships that you have garnered over these years are iconic just as you are. So again, we honor you. We thank you. My mom is so sad that she's not here to be with you today. And that's my fault because I forgot to tell her. But she would certainly be here if I had reminded her. So I give you her love. I give you love from all of us, just thanking you for what you have done and what you continue to do, especially as we stand on your shoulders to be great or try to be half as great as you are. So thank you. We love you. And this is just a small token of appreciation for what you have done for all of us throughout the state of Michigan and Wayne County. Welcome. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. When Ed McNamara was first elected Wayne County executive in the mid-1980s, two brilliant young men were at the heart of his administration. Those two were not only good friends and huge supporters of the University of Michigan, they were also quick studies in learning that it was wise to be a very good friend of Gregory Eaton. One of them went on to be president of the Detroit Medical Center, elected prosecutor, and now mayor of the city of Detroit. The other former assistant county executive went on to an outstanding career as well, a vice president of the DMC, a successful advisor and close friend and confidant to some of our state's most powerful leaders. Today, he is chairman of the board of Visit Detroit, also known as the Detroit Visitors and Convention Bureau, the agency whose perseverance and diligence helped bring the NFL draft here to Detroit. Here to give his own remarks and to introduce a video tribute from his friend, the Mayor Mike Duggan, is Mr. David Katz.
Good afternoon and welcome. It's great to be here. It's great to be back to the seat of Wayne County government and to congratulate and honor our dear friend, Gregory Eaton. Welcome, Governor. Welcome, Coach Izzo. Welcome, County Executive Evans. I wish Joe Tate were here. We could welcome as well. Fantastic Spartans all. This place is filled with Spartans today. Makes us arrogant asses a little nervous, to tell you the truth. I met Gregory in 1986. He was one of Wayne County's lobbyists at the time. When the McNamara administration took office, he was the key guy to getting the county bailed out. Yes, we went bankrupt before the city did. We kind of showed him the ropes. But Gregory, in his brilliance, was able to rescue the county and help us get out of hock. And since then, between Executive Lucas, McNamara, Facano, Evans, incredible leaders all, county's been on a steady path ever since, but it started with Gregory Eaton's great work up in Lansing on behalf of the county. My assignment today is pretty simple. It's to play warm up for Mike Duggan. I've been doing that seemingly my whole life. Apparently he's not going to be here, so I get to introduce his video. But there is a story about Gregory and Mike that comes to mind. You know, Gregory, as all of us know, has worn many hats. You know, sometimes entrepreneur, sometimes political power broker, sometimes sports super fan, but he always wears the hat of a kind and generous friend. Mayor Mike and I were beneficiaries of Gregory's many acts of kindnesses. Here's one that took place back in 1989. Michigan was playing, getting ready to play in the Sweet 16 against North Carolina. Yes, we used to play basketball then. Michigan won it all that year, I might mention. Last time the Big Ten had a run the table in a while, until, of course, Coach Izzo in 2000 with his Flintstones took it all the way. Smoke in Florida, fantastic accomplishment. Congratulations, Coach. Need to do it again. We're looking forward to it. Well, Mike and I decided to go to Lexington, Kentucky to watch this basketball game. One problem, neither of us had a car that we trusted could actually make the trip. So we called Gregory up and we asked him if we could rent a car from Metro Cars. He said, sure, come on over to the office. I've got the perfect ride for you guys. Yes, his choice of words did make us both a little suspicious. When we arrived, to our astonishment, sitting out in front of the building is this purple, tricked out van. The type of van you could stand up in, more a small camper than a van. Seats, carpet, dash, sofas, all purple, purple, purple. I mean, loud purple. Gregory says, what do you think? Mayor Mike, without missing a beat, says, what? No purple dice? Gregory says, we have the contract to drive Sheila E., you know, Prince's drummer, on tour this summer. We got this van in for her. You guys are the maiden voyage. Right? And when you hear the words maiden voyage, what do you think? Titanic. Yeah. Exactly what happens. So off we head, south down I-75 to Kentucky in Sheila E.'s tour van. All was going great until we arrived at Rupp Arena. Mike was driving and I was navigating. And this is where my version of the story and Mike's goes a little sideways. Mike pulls up to the parking deck. You had said that right. A parking deck, where as big as life is one of those signs that says clearance, 6'6". You know, like one of Tom's guards, 6'6". And my version of the story is I say, Mike, It's too tall. It won't make it. Mike says, we're fine. Gregory told us the van is only 6 feet tall. I say, Mike, I can see it. It won't fit. Stop. Mike says, nonsense. Actually, he said something started with a B and sounds like it. He floors it. Boom. We crash into the roof of the parking deck's beam, busting a hole in Sheila E.'s van. This is bad enough, but we soon realize we are wedged into the parking deck, stuck. Good thing the van blended in and we didn't stand out too much and wouldn't draw much attention. So thinking fast, we decide to double down on stupid. With all the honking and screaming and such, we panic. Actually, Mike panicked and he guns it in reverse and sardine canning our hole into a convertible. Oops. At that moment, Gregory's face flashed before my eyes. I said, what are we going to tell this guy? All I could think of was a scene from Animal House. Gregory, you screwed up. You trusted us. Mike's version goes something like, Dave told me we were in the clear. Dave said, go ahead. Dave was navigating. It's all Dave's fault. And I always listened to everybody. That was Mike's story. Truth be told, Mike's version is probably right. I must have told him to go. But don't you think my version's a little more entertaining? Anyway, Greg, have you forgiven us yet? Thank you. Congratulations, Greg. And now I think there's a movie by Mike. Anyway, thanks for the time. Way to go, Greg.
Good morning. I'm so pleased to join with the Wayne County Commission and County Executive Warren Evans and all of today's guests to congratulate my friend Gregory Eaton on his Lifetime Achievement Award. As we host the NFL Draft this week, Gregory continues to make headlines as a member of the Never Miss a Super Bowl Club, attending every Super Bowl since the very first one in 1967. He's now one of only 4 people in the world who hold that distinction. In 1963, Gregory participated in the Walk of Freedom in Detroit, marching down Woodward Avenue with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and 125,000 other civil rights demonstrators. And in the 1970s, Gregory worked with Governor Milliken and lawmakers in Lansing to secure the passage of the landmark anti-discrimination law, the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act of Michigan. Gregory, you've been an inspiration and role model to people everywhere, and it gives me great joy and pride for you to receive this great honor. Congratulations.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Mayor Mike. Our next 2 tributes are also going to be video tributes, and they're going to run back to back, and this will serve as the intro. They're from 2 presidents. No, not Obama and Biden. The first is from the president of the Chicago Bears, the Lions division rival, and the team with the first overall pick in this year's NFL Draft. Before joining the Bears, Kevin Warren was the commissioner of the Big Ten Conference, and before that, he served as an executive in the front office of the Detroit Lions. He's been a dear friend of Gregory's for years. And after that, we will hear from the president of one of Detroit's largest employers, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Gregory has served on Blue Cross boards for over 30 years, and President Lepp first met Greg when he worked for Attorney General Frank Kelly in the 80s, and then he worked even closer with Gregory when President Lepp served as Speaker Curtis Hertel's chief of staff. Here to show Gregory a little more love, up on the video board are Kevin Warren and Dan Lepp.
Hey, Greg Eaton, this is Kevin Warren calling from the Chicago Bears. I wanted to take a moment to congratulate you on your Lifetime Achievement Award with the Wayne County Commissioner's Office. You deserve everything that's coming your way this time in your life. You've been a friend, you've been a mentor, you've been just an advisor, but most of all, you've been a great person. I am so grateful that our paths crossed many years ago in Detroit, and we've been able to stay in close contact with each other. But what you have done for me, for my family, and so many people, not only in Detroit, not only around the country, but around the world, is really immeasurable. You are truly a special person. God has blessed you, and I'm so grateful that at this point in time in your life, you're receiving an opportunity to smell all the roses that you've planted along your beautiful life. I wish I could be there, but we're here in Chicago trying to get this stadium built and getting ready for the draft next week. But please know that I appreciate you, I respect you, most of all, I love you. Congratulations, and I look forward to breaking some bread with you soon, enjoying some great wine, and most of all, having some incredible laughs. So Greg, congratulations. God bless you and your family, and soak it all in. Mazel tov.
I'd like to begin by thanking the Wayne County Board of Commissioners for awarding this Lifetime Achievement Award to my dear friend, Gregory Eaton. I can't think of anyone more deserving of this recognition, and I'm pleased that you're receiving it. Gregory, I want to thank you for your friendship over the last 3 decades. Your words of wisdom have guided me personally and professionally, and I know you've done the same for many others over the years. Your service to the Emergent Holdings Board of Directors has been invaluable. You brought strength and consistency as an original incorporator and board member when the Accident Fund was acquired by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan in 1994. Your leadership has been pivotal to the transformation of our enterprise over the past 30 years. In so many ways, your career has been extraordinary. Your life has been filled with historic moments and people, from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Magic Johnson, to your important presence at the historic 1968 Summer Olympics and your role in the landmark Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. One of the standout achievements of your amazing life is attending every Super Bowl. But even more important is your impact on Michigan State University, its leadership, its students, athletes, and faculty that you have mentored over the years and helped make them successful in their own right. Gregory, you're loved and appreciated by so many. Once again, congratulations, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Presidents Warren and Lepp. As you just heard, the Accident Fund Company was purchased by Blue Cross from the state of Michigan in 1994. And on its first board of directors was Gregory Eaton. That board hired our next speaker as its first president and CEO. He would also go on to be the president and CEO of the MEDC under Governor Granholm. And before that, he too was a scholarship football player at Michigan State. He's going to give his own brief remarks and then introduce a video tribute from the greatest college football coach of all time, Nick Saban. Between 1995 and 2000, that iconic football coach at MSU went on to greater glory. But when he was at MSU, the 3 people that he was closest to were Tom Izzo, Gregory Eaton, and our next speaker. In 1973, he came here from McKeesport, Pennsylvania to East Lansing, Michigan, and he's been here ever since. Buckle up and get ready because we are about to go back to back to back, goat, goat, goat. Introducing the first one, Mr. Jim Eppolito.
It. I think we've covered everything that we can possibly cover. And this is an amazing, amazing tribute to an amazing guy. He's been a mentor of mine, and he and his friend Dick Whitmer really had a big influence on my life. And so I want to share a quick story about Gregory, who is sometimes too kind and too gracious for his own good. Gregory attended my wedding in Lansing in June of 1979. As the reception was winding down, Gregory invited 20 or 25 of my relatives from Pennsylvania to his house for a midnight meal. Talk about, and it was an unbelievable gesture, and they still talk about Gregory cooking breakfast for them. They were absolutely thrilled. The problem was, and all of us who know Gregory can attest to this, they enjoyed Gregory's company so much, they didn't want to leave. 1 clock turned into 2 o'clock, and as happy as I was for my Pittsburgh family, it dawned on me, this is my wedding night. This party never ends. I talked to Gregory, and just like you were all danced, we finally moved the people out of the house. But Gregory, just like you were for Muhammad Ali, I want to thank you for always being in my corner. You're my friend, are the greatest. Now, before I get too emotional, let's hear from Coach Nick Saban. Roll Tide and rolled tape.
Thanks, Jimmy and Joey, for your kindness and your friendship. And thank you, Wayne County, for honoring Gregory Eaton with the Lifetime Achievement Award. There definitely could not be a more deserving recipient. As you know, I'll be in Detroit later in the week with ESPN and plan to see you guys in a couple days. You know, Gregory, marching with Martin Luther King Jr. and hanging out with Muhammad Ali and Magic all those years, and even attending every single Super Bowl is all fine and dandy. But to me, by far the most significant thing you've ever done is attending mostly all of our national championship football games through the years, and there's no question you've been our good luck charm, like you've been to so many people throughout your life. The positive impact you've made on the lives of so many people cannot be overstated. If all people had just 1 ounce of your kindness, 1 shred of your loyalty, and 1 speck of your humility and decency, the whole world would be a much better place. Again, congratulations on receiving this fantastic award. And hey man, let's go play golf next week. I thank you for being such a good friend. I appreciate you more than you know, and I'll give you a call. Take care and God bless.
Thank you, Jimmy. Now that is pretty impressive when you hear from the greatest football coach of all time. I just learned yesterday that 2 people who were invited to speak and wanted to be here couldn't be. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, and Sam Baydoun is sitting in her seat as her good friend today, and the other being Irvin Magic Johnson. And in what's going to take less than 1/2 of the time that it would have taken for them to give remarks, I'd like to introduce some of Gregory's friends in rapid fire fashion who are here today. Please stand if you are able when your name is announced, And hold your applause until the end, please, until all have been introduced. And if I miss anybody, I deeply apologize. I hope Gregory introduces you later. Please stand at the end and wave. Representing the Detroit Tigers, Red Wings, and all the Illich companies is their Vice President, Mike McLaughlin. Representing the Michigan Association of Counties is Executive Director, Steve Curry. Representing the Michigan State University football team is former Director of Football Operations, Brad Lunsford. Representing the Detroit Metropolitan Airport Authority Board of Directors, Marvin Beatty. Representing their late great father, Senator Art Miller Jr., and themselves is former Rep. Derek Miller and Art Miller III of the Accident Fund. Representing Karub Associates is Managing Partner Scott Faustin, Matt Breslin, Jim Curran, and Jackie's longtime assistant, Jackie Salazar. Representing the I've Been a Friend of Gregory for Over 50 Years Club is longtime business partner, Jack Schick. Also in that club is another business partner, Jimmy Alibri. And last but not least, former Wayne County Commission Chair, Art Blackwell. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming today to honor Gregory Eaton. Brother Richard, I think your sister's going to introduce you. I see you there. When this man arrived and became head basketball coach at Michigan State nearly 30 years ago, I don't know that many people could have envisioned the kind of success and positive impact he's had on a university and an entire state. Yes, he's a national champion. Been to 8 Final Fours, won 10 Big Ten championships, is the winningest coach in Big Ten history, passing Bobby Knight a few years ago, and has appeared in a record-setting 26 straight NCAA tournament games and appearances. He is already in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Yet, in my opinion, his most important accomplishments have little to do with the sport he coaches. In case you missed it, MSU has faced some difficult and unprecedented challenges over the last several years. And who was always there, providing comfort and compassion when needed, always giving of his time and money, always delivering the right message at the right time, trying to make sense of the sometimes senseless, was the glue of the green and white, Tom Izzo. He has a football building named after him. Hang on, Coach. He has a football building named after him, and tens of thousands of students and alumni who will cherish for the rest of their life that they were able to sit in the best seats that Breslin Arena has to offer, the world-famous Izzone. And it is not hyperbole to say that when it's all said and done, and I sincerely hope that is a long time from now, that this man will not only be one of the most important and influential people in the history of Michigan State, but in the history of our state as well, regardless of profession. And the fact that he still regularly invites Gregory Eaton to come to his practices and talk to his team to show those young men what true goodness and success as a human being looks like, says it all. He's here to honor Gregory, but his being here also honors all of us today to be in his presence. Hall of Fame coach, Tom Izzo.
I don't even know where to start after listening to all this, but first thing God, I'm sure as hell glad Dave was a Michigan fan, because if you would have pulled that in to Indianapolis, the bus might not have gotten to the game and we wouldn't have won a national championship. That was a great story, and I believe that about Gregory. The second thing I want to say, Gregory, is I got up this morning, been on the road the last 3 days, and I looked in my closet, and as you know, we don't dress up as much anymore. But I looked at all the suits I had, and I said, I can do one of two things. I can try to get my best suit, knowing that Gregory will outdo me by a landslide, or I can go with my UP tuxedo. And that's what I decided to do to honor one of our friends, Dominic Jacobetti, back in the day. So My thing with Gregory is personal in this respect, and to this day, I'm not even sure he'll remember it. But I was a graduate assistant in 1983 or 84, and came down from the UP where there's 11 months of winter and 1 month of poor sledding up where I'm from. And I got a call one day from Gregory Eaton and Joel Ferguson inviting me to go down to a Piston game. They would pick me up and take this guy down there. So when I hear about all the civil rights things you've done, it's incredible. When I listen to you talk about the fights that you've gone to, it's incredible. When I listen about the Super Bowls you've been to, it's incredible. But for you to take this white guy from the UP who didn't have any idea of anything and anybody, I mean, I was like the Clampetts in Beverly Hills where I came from. I rode in the back of this Bentley. Where I'm from, there ain't no Bentleys. And I was thinking to myself, if my dad could only see me now with my two drivers, Joe Ferguson and Gregory Eaton, and I'm sitting in the middle of this seat back there. Well, they did that more than a few times. And kind of where I got to know Gregory. And then, of course, when Nick came and Jimmy, and Jimmy was close. And I think we all got to be better and better friends. But what I like to say to you, Gregory, as much as all the accomplishments, as much as what you've done for this state, what you've done for Michigan State, what you've done for all the civil rights, I also want to thank you for what you did for me, because it is personal. In this job, as Governor Whitmer would agree, you wake up every day and there's always a new challenge. There's always something new that happened. And by the way, it was a privilege and an honor for me to be on a platform with you when we had our fatal shootings up there. And Joey, you're right. I got a chance to be there with our great governor, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you being there. But what I learned was when times aren't good is when Gregory Eaton's his best. I never, ever hear from him after a win. I always hear from him after a loss. And I do mean that in a positive way, not a negative. How you doing? What's going on? Stops by practice, and I always tell my guys, see that guy over there? He built one of the great companies in our state. See that guy over there? His son went here. He played football here. He did. He's one of the great supporters of Michigan State, but he's done so much more. And I think that's what I'm proudest of, that I can call you a friend, because you've helped me when nobody knew me. And I think when I listen to all these speakers talk about you, I couldn't agree more that it's not the limelight that makes you special. It's when I think back, you took a guy that nobody knew, you paraded me around the palace when they were winning championships and doing well, and made me feel like something special, and I was a nobody. And now sometimes, if we don't win another championship pretty soon, I'm gonna be a nobody again. And there'll be a lot of people that might bail. But one that I know will never bail is you, Gregory. And for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart and tell you that you've been very instrumental in a lot of people's lives. And Muhammad Ali, I got a chance to meet Muhammad Ali too when he came to Breslin. And I was down at Nick's game and I ran into him in the parking lot and I invited him to a game, and pretty soon he showed up and we talked about Gregory Eaton. And it kind of shows you how dynamic you are and how big you are, even in a small frame that you possess. I think I love you more because me and you don't have to move this damn mic. And when you come up here, the mic stays right where it is. And for that, Gregory, I appreciate you. But like everybody else, we love you. We want to thank you for what you've done for Michigan State. But I appreciate that the bipartisan way of you. You've got friends from Michigan. You've got friends from Wayne State. You've got friends from Northern Michigan. I mean, he was tight with Dominic Jacobetti, who unfortunately a lot of you don't know, but I do, and Gregory does. And I just want to thank you for helping people. people of all race, all creed, all color, people of all sizes. And thank you for what you've done for us all. God bless.
Thank you very, very much, Coach Izzo. When trying to decide who would be the best person to actually present Gregory the Lifetime Achievement Award, it was determined that this person should know him for several decades and preferably for their entire life. That search quickly became a list of one. Gregory has been her father's best friend since way before she was even born. And she has known Gregory ever since she was old enough to walk and talk. Her dad and Gregory once took a cross-country trip by automobile from Lansing to California, and they did so following each other in separate convertibles. Dick in a Corvette, and Gregory in his Mercedes. Why? Because they couldn't agree on what music to listen to. So they had to follow each other across the country. And when they arrived, because they were so sore from being jammed into those sports cars for 2,500 miles, they finally got enough sense and had enough money to ship those cars back home on a flatbed truck and fly home first class. While working as a state legislator, our governor served with many Wayne County commissioners here today. She is an MSU grad and a lawyer and the proud mom of 2 daughters. And there are many good reasons why she's so highly thought of on the national stage. She has twice been elected governor and has amazingly and way more than admirably served as our state's top dog during some of the most demanding and challenging times in our state's history. Wayne County is deeply touched and honored to welcome the 49th governor in the history of the great state of Michigan, the Honorable Gretchen E. Whitmer.
Thanks, Joey. This was great. Thank you. Well, thank you. I think we should have Joey Palomera MC almost every event. He's doing a great job. I love it. I love it. So it is an honor to be here with all of you. My father had intended on joining us, but he wasn't able to make it today. And on the way out the door, after I picked up Brother Richard and Demira on our way here, of course, my dad sent me off with the usual missive, which was, make sure you tell Gregory I love him and don't embarrass the family. So it's a heck of a lineup. I am batting cleanup with all of these incredible leaders who have been touched and mentored by Gregory Eaton, just like me and so many others across our state. From, every part of this state, I think Gregory Eaton has done something that has improved people's lives. And most people in our state will never know how or who, but I'm here to say thank you. I've known Gregory for a long period of time. We call him Uncle Gregory. And I remember when Uncle Gregory was at the house, my daughter, who was very young at the time, looked up at me and she said, how are we related to Gregory? And I had to explain to her, your family is not who you share blood with. Your family is who you love. And we love Uncle Gregory. And Uncle Gregory is a beloved person who has been in my life since the day I was born. He and my dad go way back. Uncle Gregory played football at Sexton. He was a Sexton Big Red. And my father played football at Pontiac, and he was a Pontiac Central Chief. And they faced off on the gridiron. And while I think they're 2 of the most honorable, truthful people I've ever known, you would not know that if you heard them talk about those stories from high school. My father likes to say, if you pull up Gregory's shirt, there's a size 13 imprint of my dad's shoe on his chest when he rolled right over him on the gridiron. And Gregory always comes back and says, that could never have happened because you were a slow, big white guy. You couldn't catch up with me. And don't even get him started on who makes better ribs, because this is a conversation that'll never end. But their athletic competition blossomed into a lifelong friendship. In half century since then, my dad and Uncle Gregory have gone on road trips together, as Joey mentioned, taking separate cars, both because they can't agree on air conditioning and music. But it has been, I think, one of the favorite pictures that I always look at that's in my dad's house is of when Gregory and Joel Ferguson and Dad went to a fight out in Las Vegas. And they took a picture, and I'm wearing my gold medallion in honor of you, Gregory. Took a picture, and Gregory looks like Apollo Creed, and he's got a big afro, and they're sitting at the fight. But it's just a friendship that has endured for a long, long time. He's been there for me in so many ways that have already been described by so many leaders today. When I started working in Lansing, he was quick to offer wisdom or counsel or encouragement. He vouched for me when people didn't know who I was. When I started running in larger districts from the state house to the state senate to governor, he vouched for me. He introduced me to people and always gave me sage counsel. My dad often says Gregory is one of the wisest people he's ever met. The kindness that runs deep, the care and concern. He shows up when times are tough, as Coach Izzo said. There would be no Governor Gretchen Whitmer without Uncle Gregory. And he means so much to so many people who we all consider him our family. His roots go back to Lansing. His family's roots go back to 1880s. And over the course of his life, he's made a mark not just on Lansing, but on Detroit and on a much bigger venue. He grew up on Old Avenue near the plant that powered our city's economy. Shortly after graduating from Sexton, he started a janitorial business. His entrepreneurial zeal continued through his life. He founded Metro Cars, which we all know, and he opened a bar in Lansing, the Garage, and then ultimately a restaurant, Gregory's Soul Food, some of the best food to this day in Lansing. He worked for decades as a lobbyist, making friends everywhere he went. I have never heard a person say a bad word about Gregory Eaton. It's truly amazing. There's not a place that you can go in Lansing or Detroit where people don't know Gregory. He's also recognized nationally because of his membership in in this very small club, the Never Miss a Super Bowl club. There's an activity he does. It pales in comparison to the person that he is. He's guided by his fierce commitment to his family, his friends, and his values. He marched woodward, as we've heard. He was friends with Muhammad Ali, mentored Magic Johnson. But there are a lot of people whose names we don't know, whose lives have been impacted by Gregory Eaton. He's no stranger to the sting of discrimination. In 1975, he was denied membership at the Lansing Country Club as the first ever Black applicant. He refused to give up, and he fought for justice. To ensure that no one else would be discriminated against because of the color of their skin, he fought for passage of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act of 1976. He lobbied Governor Milliken and worked with the legislators on both sides of the aisle and got it done. And I was proud that this year we were able to expand the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, building on that legacy. And of course, he eventually became a member of the Lansing Country Club and dominated the golf scene there as well. But throughout his life, Uncle Gregory has had a front row seat to history, and he made a lot of his own along the way. We are all the lucky ones, though, because we had a front row to his extraordinary life. It was an honor for many of us to call him a business partner, a colleague, a friend, or better yet, uncle. So I am proud to present Uncle Gregory this Lifetime Achievement Award. I thank you for everything that you've done for me and for everyone in this room and so many outside of it. We love you, Uncle Gregory, and you are the greatest of all time, the real GOAT. Love you.
Right there, they're going to present it to us. Okay, here's how we're going to do pictures. We're going to first hear from Gregory, okay, and then we're going to do pictures with Gregory and the guest speakers on this level. And then after those pictures are taken, we're going to do all the commissioners standing right here as well with Gregory up here. So now to hear from the man of the hour, A. Gregory Eaton.
Well, thank you, Governor, and everyone here today. I didn't know what they were talking about most of the time. I'm just a little poor boy from Olds Avenue, shoe shiner, paper boy. I just love creating jobs because I thought my mother says, Gregory, you are who you are, but you're not better than anybody. She always taught us, you're not better than people. And I've been trying to do that all my life. And she was right, because God created all of us. And I was just blessed to be able to do some of the things I've done. It's not easy, but it's enjoyable. And the most important thing in life is family. Family is the most important in my life. And my family there, and my sisters, they're tough. Saray, my doctor, so I had some health problems with going there. So I told the doctor, I says, am I gonna die? She looked at me and frowned on her and said, no, you're not gonna die. I said, that's all I need to know. And I'm gonna enjoy some life. And you all have been a part of that. When I worked at the Capitol, you take the page, the janitors, the legislators, you become one family. I mean, I go to so many funerals now because they were part of my life. And that's what makes me a kind of different. I'm glad I was born that way, but it's something that you should do. I was lucky. I remember one of my idols, D. Coleman Young. I'd go to his office, be playing that tonk, and he says, Gregory, I'm gonna run for the mayor of the city of Detroit. I said, well, mayor, you're majority floor leader. He says, damn it, I'm running for, I said, yes, sir. I said, what are you gonna do? He said, get me some damn money. That's what I want you to do. So he was been a big part of my life and growing up and learned a lot from him. He's one of the smartest guys I ever known. I mean, he was just special. So I was blessed. I was lucky there. And Gil Haley grew up in the neighborhood. He had a grocery store in my dad's neighborhood. And my dad taught him how to ride a bike. My dad was about 8 years older than Gilly. So Gilly hired me. I used to run errands to the Capitol from the office on Townsend Street downtown to bring back and forth. And so he says, one day he says, I need some help at the Capitol. We had 11 black legislators out of the city of Detroit in 63. All of them was the city of Detroit except one, Basil Brown. And Basil Brown was out of Holland Park. My grandfather was born in Holland Park in the 1800s, 1884. So Detroit and Wayne County has been a part of my life because of that. I mean, coming here as a kid, we was the third largest city in the world at one time. And so I'm so grateful for being able to be a part of the city of Detroit all my life and the state of Michigan. So that's what I really, 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 really enjoy doing. And I want to thank everyone in this room, because most of you part of my life. And the team back there, congratulations to you guys. It's a lot of work. We're proud of you, and you're a nice gentleman, the way you dress. I didn't know you don't want to sit through all of this, but thank you for being here. And that's about it for me.